the Army. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to speak to some of our students today. We also have the Pickwick Chamber of Commerce here. We might have some city officials coming in late. So again, thank you for coming here today, and they're excited to hear from you. It sounds like they have some questions prepared, so be ready. Never know what they're going to ask. Before we get started, if everyone could please rise for the singing of our national anthem. We have Dana Buck, Tatiana Foose, and Addie Lee to sing the national anthem. Thank you, Ace. Very well done. Sergeant Moore, from the local Army office here in Pickwick, has partnered with us to help put this very unique event together. So, Sergeant Moore, if you want to come on up, and we'll complete the formal introductions this morning.
Good morning, student body. Glad to have you all in a captive environment. You know, we're usually set up in the cafeteria. It's more, more of this look that I get. So I'm glad to see you all present and well towards the end of the year. So today we have a distinguished visitor. We have General Kraft, and he's gonna, sorry, it's better. He's going to give us his Army story, but briefly I'm going to run through the various stages that he's gone through from growing up in this area to where he is now. All right, it's pretty extensive. He even cut down a good 90% of it, so we're going to get into this. So Brigadier General Paul Kraft, a native of Pickwick, Ohio, entered the Army in 1993 as a second lieutenant in the Signal Corps. Brigadier General Kraft currently serves as Deputy Commanding General of Joint Forces Headquarters, Cyber, for the Army, U.S. Cyber Command. As the DCG for Joint Forces Headquarters, Cyber, Army, he leads a team of over 150 soldiers, civilians, and contractors that provide cyberspace support to Africa and North America, as well as the Middle East. Brigadier General Kraft has served in key leadership and staff positions from platoon leader, company commander, battalion and brigade command. At echelons corps and below, he has served multiple tours in armistice operations in the Republic of Korea, peacekeeping operations in Haiti, combat operations in Afghanistan with the 82nd Airborne Division and the British Army, and humanitarian operations supporting the Department of Homeland Security for the recent resettlement of Afghan refugees. Brigadier General Kraft has a Bachelor's of Science in American Political Science with a concentration in Systems Engineering from the U.S. Military Academy, West Point. He also earned 3 master's degrees, a Master's of Science in Information Management and a Master's of Business Administration. That was a dual degree from Arizona State University as part of the Army's Advanced Civil Schooling Program, and a Master of Science in National Security and Resource Strategy with a concentration in cyber from the Eisenhower School, National Defense University. His awards and decorations are commensurate with his time of service, and he's been married for 30 years to his to his junior high school sweetheart, who's from Troy, Ohio. Without further ado.
thanks. Thanks, that's everyone. How y'all doing? Good. All right. I know I would have been here 35 years ago, 36 years ago. I was a junior. Y'all juniors? Mostly juniors? All juniors? In my government class, because there's a chance for me not to be in class. So maybe it's the same for you, maybe not, but I hope you get something out of today. So as South Moore said, I am born and raised in Piqua, about 5 miles down 36. Truth be told, I actually went to Miami East. My entire family went to Piqua. My father was a government teacher at Tecumseh High School for many, many years. And that was probably where I fell in love and became very, very interested in government, and then how could I best serve our country. I think even as a young kid, I definitely wanted to serve. I wanted to be part of a team. I wanted to make a difference, change the world. And even at 16, 17 or 18, that's what I wanted to do. I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I tried to work that out by participating in our high school events, probably too many events, because that meant my parents had to drive me around before I got a license, and play various sports. I grew up on a farm, and so the trick was that I tried to do as many things as I could not to have to work on the farm, by being in every club and every student union and play every sport I could, so I never had to be home after school. That was my trick. And so I played football, and then basketball, and then track, and then summer baseball, and I did that as long as I could for all my high school career. And it paid off, I guess. As mentioned, I did go to West Point. Anybody fan of the NFL draft? Tell people out there that follow the draft. I will tell you that I didn't have the best grades in high school. They were slightly above average. And so in the draft, when they pick all the people, and then they picked all the people, and the draft is over, and you didn't get picked, but they still have slots left, and they went to still to try out for the team. That's probably how I got into West Point. Hey, I got some more slots to fill. You may have talent, you may not. I kind of want to figure out if you can do it. I do see that you're very, very involved with student government. I do see that you're very involved with your community, and you play a lot of team sports. So it was almost like they took a chance on someone who, on paper, maybe or may not have made the team. So I'm very fortunate, I'm very blessed that they did take a chance on me. Over the last in May I'll be 31, for the last 31 years I've been able to serve our country in our government and try to make a difference. Yes, I did marry a girl from Troy, right, I guess also true. She went to Miami East, so she was on the border also. But didn't go to that other school that we shall not mention down south. We were actually junior high sweethearts. And she ended up going to Wilmington down south when I went up to West Point. I'd actually picked Ohio Northern, which is where my father went and where my best friend was going to go. We actually had rooms. We were even going to room together. It was awesome. And then at the last minute, about 2 weeks before graduation, they asked. So my congressman called me and said, "Hey, you want to go to West Point?" I was like, "Sure." And that was kind of my college decision. I wouldn't make a college decision like that. I'd be a little bit more deliberate. But I, called Ohio Northern and said, "Thank you very much, but I'm not going to be able to do that." And then headed up to West Point, which is up above New York City, about 6 miles. And that really shaped I'll say my military experience, my military life. Obviously, my father as a government teacher helped with discipline and helped with structure, but really getting that in the Army and helping me discipline myself versus being disciplined was really what made the difference for me. The Army's been great. The Army's been better than I ever thought it would be. Great opportunities for education, great opportunities to travel the world. I know Seth flew out a couple countries out there that I've lived in over time or that I've been deployed to, but absolutely, I've had an opportunity to be and travel, be in places, travel and live in a lot of different countries, in a lot of different places around the world. So I've been very fortunate, very blessed to be able to do that. I'll run through this quickly, kind of where I've been, give you that picture of my Army story. And so, First off, I really thought I was going to be, after my time at West Point, I thought for sure I was going to go into the infantry. That I was going to run around, I was going to do cowboys and Indians, it was going to be super fun, because I was an athlete, and I thought I'd do just a bunch of athletic things. But my junior year, I blew my knee. I did run track for the Army, so Division I track for the Army up at West Point, and I blown my knee twice over that time, and I was going to be commissioned in the infantry, and they said, no, you can't be in the infantry anymore, you have to pick something else. And they told me, try the Signal Corps. Well, I don't know what that is. Well, that's IT. And I didn't really take a lot of IT classes. I took a lot of government classes as an American political scientist, but not a lot of computer science classes. And so the good news was the Army gives you all the training that you need in order to accomplish the mission. And so I was able to go down to a school down in Augusta, Georgia, where actually I am now, and get that training before I headed off to Arizona. What's that mean? Last year. Okay. And so I spent a couple years in Arizona. I went out and did some peacekeeping operations in Haiti, which is the poorest nation in the northern hemisphere. Spent some time there. You can see that in the news now. There's been another, governmental change in Haiti, an island down, I'll say in the Caribbean. And from there, I was able to go to Washington, D.C., to Quantico, Virginia, which is where the Marine Corps is. And I was able to train with the Marines for another year of training. And then after that, I was sent off to the Republic of Korea, or South Korea. And I spent 2 years in South Korea. Any military brats in the room? I should ask that question. No? Yes, one, couple. How about if you know someone who has been a veteran in your family or friends? Okay. Should ask that one. So I spent 2 years in South Korea, and I actually brought, at that time, my wife and I had a baby. She had a baby. I was the father of that baby. And we went to, we brought her and the baby to South Korea, very, at that time, from a poor country, and they lived with me in a little village in South Korea for 2 years. And that was a great cultural experience to live amongst the people, to learn a new language, spend a lot of time, and it was very rewarding for the family. We actually put our daughter in Korean daycare, and she still was able to speak Korean, and we weren't. So that was very interesting for our child to be able to speak to people in a language that we didn't learn. It's very fast, amazing how fast kids pick up foreign languages. And then from there, I went to grad school. I thought I was going to get out. I was going to do 5 years. And that's pretty typical. A lot of people will get out of the military after one tour or one term. After you've learned a lot, you've already been educated a couple times. You probably have about $500,000 of education inside you by that point, by that first 4 or 5 years. That's very remarkable on the outside. But I decided to stay in, and the reason I was able to stay in is because the Army offered me more education. They offered me 2 master's degrees from Arizona State. So I was able to fly the family from South Korea to Tempe, Arizona, and I spent 2 years getting a couple of master's degrees. Education is a big part of what the Army does. There are so many educational opportunities that the Army provides, whether you're an officer or whether you're enlisted or whether you're a warrant officer inside our branch. The one thing that we always do in the military is make sure that you're educated and trained so you can do whatever job you want. And the majority of our education and training is something that's certainly transferable from the military out to the commercial world. And so I learned more IT skills. I got an MBA. I learned how to run businesses. And then I got a degree in hardware software design. Then I owed some time back because of the education. And I was sent back to Augusta, Georgia to do some training. But that's when the war kicked off. That's when 9/11 occurred. And I was really sent into Afghanistan. And so spent some time in Afghanistan right when the war kicked off to help them build out some IT systems for them based on the training and education I had with my master's degree. So spent some time there. And then after my tour, was sent for more training into Kansas. So I spent a year getting another master's degree in Kansas. And after that, I got a great tour. I got to go to Hawaii with the family for 3 years. And so a lot of people, save up money to be able to spend 1 week in Hawaii for a vacation. But in the military, we were able to spend 3 years every day on the beach in Hawaii. It was great. We were able to travel throughout the Pacific, spend time in Australia and other places, went to China for that tour. Then after Hawaii, let's see, where did I go? I went back to DC. I did an HR job back in DC, human resources, and I learned how to take care of people and give them opportunities and jobs. And after my HRC tour, I went to Arizona and then did a combat tour into another combat tour where I was a battalion commander in charge of 500 people, running the IT systems for all of the South in Afghanistan. Major combat operations that were going on there. Then after that, I'm not sure if I did well or badly, but I was then assigned to the Pentagon, our headquarters. And I spent a couple years in the Pentagon carrying a general's bag. Now that I'm a general, kind of funny to say that way, but I was helping generals out in the Pentagon. And then after the Pentagon tour, I went off to Illinois, spent some time in a couple years in Illinois, and then finally ended up back in Arizona, where I ran the Army's University for cyber operations and electronic warfare. So I was a provost marshal for a university for 3 years, standing up the organization, helping recruit high school young adults and college kids from ROTC and West Point to join the Army and really to join the Cyber Corps, which is the newest branch of the Army. And so I transitioned from being a Signal Corps IT person really to being a cyber defense and hacker. I'm the fourth cyber general in the Army. And then from there, I went off to Cyber Command. We've had a couple tours in Cyber Command, this time running the offense. And so I've been running the offense and defense of the Army for now a couple of years. And as I close, I'll say, and so what's happening now is I have submitted my packet, this got approved like last week, to retire. And my intent is actually to come back to April. And so I will take this uniform off after 31 years of service to our nation with my bride from the local area, and we'll come back and we'll settle back here in Piqua this summer toward the fall. But that is my Army story. I have been both fortunate and blessed, first off, to get picked up as that, Mr. Irrelevant on the NFL team at the very end, to be able to go to West Point, and then was able to turn that great opportunity into just a career of service to our nation. So I will stop there on what my Army story is and all the great things that I've gotten from the Army, all the fortunate opportunities that I've been able to get from the Army, and I'd really love to hear any questions you have as a former government student, classically trained by a father who was a government teacher, for any questions that you may have. So I'll turn it over to you for questions. Sir.
Hello, my name is Eli. I'm already enlisted in the Reserve, and I wanted to know what advice would you give someone who plans on or is considering the military?
Okay. Future soldier. All right. First off, thank you. Thank you for your commitment to join the Army. That's awesome news. A couple of things. One, hopefully you heard it from me, is please take advantage of all that the military offers you. Okay? A lot of things have changed over our years just in our economy. I think we've all seen that. What the Army has been for me for 30 years has been a very steady job. Okay? I know there's a lot of hirings and firings and layoffs and things like that. Our government doesn't really do that. The financial security it is good. The training and education is probably even better. Probably the best thing that you can have is you can continue to develop yourself with what you want to develop yourself toward in this time. Okay? There's more programs in the military than there is time. Okay? So a lot of times people get mesmerized and they sometimes get caught like deer in the headlights on what they should pick or what they should do, because you do have so many options, there's so many opportunities in our military. So you just have to kind of figure that out. And if you remember from my Army story, I went in to be an athlete who got picked up late in the draft. I thought I was going to go in and do fun stuff like infantry, run through the woods and sleep outside, and, run through the mud. What happened to me while I wasn't able to do that was an opportunity to get into IT that I knew nothing about. And I could have wallowed in the fact that I didn't do what I thought I was going to do at 18 or 22. But instead I doubled down on trying to be the best IT person that I could be with what I had right now in front of me. And here I stand before you today. okay? So you get the opportunity to seize a lot of different opportunities and challenges you may have. You can turn those challenges into opportunities with whatever you can do. You don't know how life's going to change right or left or forward, but just I would recommend take advantage of those opportunities you have in front of you. Get really spend time to understand what is available to you. All right, I wish you luck. I'll be following you and seeing how that goes. Okay, yeah, great question. Any other questions? Yeah.
Did you ever have like any doubts whether it's like interviewing or transferring into
Every day. Not like no kid. No kid. You know, I would be lying to you if I didn't, right? So I spent a lot of time just trying to figure out, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? And then the next day the sun comes up and I know that I've got to give everything I have that day going forward. And what I noticed was, as I continue to progress, as I continue to push forward, that doubt goes away. I didn't hold back. I could have, right? I could have held back and just tried to figure out what was happening around me and let my environment go with me, like I'm just in the rapids, as opposed to trying to fight through the rapids. For me, I had to choose to be in charge of my life. In the military, there's a combat term we have, it's called the ambush. It's called the ambush. You've probably heard the term ambush, yes? And the worst ambush is a thing called an L-shaped ambush, okay? Think of an upside down L, okay? The trick is we try to get the enemy to go right into the corner nook of the ambush, and then we can shoot in like multiple directions on the adversary. The answer to when you are in an ambush, not when you're the ambusher, but you're being ambushed, is a term that I used my entire career, and the term that the military trains us when we find out that we're in the ambush: fight through the ambush. Fight through the ambush, which means go directly at it. Because once they know you're there, if you just sit there, you won't make it. If you back out, they'll still be shooting at you. So the fastest way to get out of a problem, the fastest way to get out of your present situation is to fight through the ambush. And that's something that the military taught me that has helped me with my anxiety, my self-doubt, the challenges I have, or what to do next, is just to push through. Okay? And then when you push to the other side, then you can change on who's on the offense and who's on the defense. So yeah, good question. And yes, I have not figured, after 31 years, I haven't figured it all out. But there's a couple of tips and tricks I think that are beneficial to anybody. Fight through the ambush. Okay? Other questions? Ma'am?
Could you go into more depth about your political science degree and how it was?
Okay, sure. I got a specific degree in American political science. My dad, obviously, as a government teacher, we spent a lot of time. He was a teacher, right? So he had summers off, cheaters. And so in those summers off, he would spend all his time quizzing on governmental things. Name the 9, chief justices, name, every congressman of Ohio, name every capital of, every state, United States, east to west. We play those games. And so I got to understand how the government works. I got to understand the challenges of our 3 branches of government. I actually had an opportunity my junior year to be an intern in Congress. And so I worked for this guy named John Boehner, who ended up being the Speaker of the House. But the year that I worked for him, 100 years ago, I know he's since retired, but John Boehner, who was the Speaker of the House, that year, he was a freshman, meaning it was his first year in Congress. So he was a baby congressman. And I got to sit with and be with a baby congressman. And one thing I'll tell you about being a baby congressman, in D.C., you get a chance to go to D.C., your government class goes there, or you go there yourself, is they will bring in whoever is from their district, and they will give you a tour. All you have to do is sign up online, and you can spend some time walking through the government, probably with an intern who's 20, 21, 22 years old, and they'll show you all around Congress. The other thing about being a freshman congressman is they live in of closet compared to others. And I think at the time the Speaker of the House was like Newt Gingrich. And I got to go to his office, and his office was like this size compared to the freshman congressman from here, from our district, who had a very small office. And actually the representative of this area now, Warren Davidson, is a West Point classmate of mine. So I think he's a year, he's older than I am, he's a year younger than I am. But I learned so much from both my government teacher, Fred Worth, who was my government teacher at my East, and my time in college, spending time learning about American political science, that I had a much deeper appreciation when I joined the military of how the government works. And a lot of times on how you can make the government work for you if you understand the processes that they have. And there's so many processes that the government has. Very interesting on how bills become law, or how you can add in words to a bill to help you out, or how to be a good constituent. A lot of times we don't even know how we could be a good constituent as high school kids. But our government teachers spend some time on this is how constituency works, on how we can change the world, or how we can at least change this region of Ohio based on our opinions and our views. And that was the value of having a great government teacher and being able to spend some time in government and learning that in college. So if that's what you want to pursue maybe in college, I would encourage you. I thought it was a great degree to have, and I feel like I use it all the time, certainly being in the government, but a great opportunity too, where how you can give back to your community by understanding how the government works. So, great question. Other questions?
What do you think you would be doing to earn money?
You know, when I was going to go with my best friend to Ohio Northern, I was going to be a government teacher in high school. I was going to come back. I was going to come back here, Miami East, Troy, whatever, Pickla, wherever would take me, and I probably would have been a teacher. I enjoy teaching. You know, give me a whiteboard and we'll have some fun. You know, drawing out like how the government works, or whatever, things like that. I would have been a teacher. I thought that's really what I wanted to do. Coaching a sport, being that teacher who coaches a sport, hangs out, does stuff. I really enjoyed working with people. So at this point, I'd be working with high school kids. But yeah, I chose a lifetime of service, which is in many ways kind of the same thing. Because our whole job in the military is to train our subordinates to be able to do their job to the best of their ability, so we can fight in our nation's wars. It's a little bit different. We're trying to teach you to be great leaders in the U.S. and go on to be productive citizens, right? That's what our teachers' jobs are. And being raised by a government teacher, that's what it's like. I would have been a government teacher. I was thinking gym teacher. Also gym teacher, because those guys look like they have so much fun. It seems like they have more time off. I don't know if it's the gym teachers. Yeah, good question. Okay. Other questions?
I'm a government teacher.
Yeah.
I
blame you.
And I was a football coach. So I got a question for you about the Army Navy and walking in as a sport.
It's like saying Troy to me.
Yeah, well.
Or Michigan.
So I want to know the experience of walking in as the Army Corps of Cadets onto the field, because that's a bucket list game for me.
Yeah.
And
it's in Washington, D.C. this year. They're starting to move them around.
Well, if you got any tickets, I'll take it. So I just want to hear that experience.
Yeah, so before, there's a lot of pageantry and regalia before an Army-Navy football game, one of the oldest traditions that are out there. I'll be honest, I prefer to watch the Ohio State-Michigan game, except the last 2 years. But I freaking love Ohio State. But we actually have to march on the field. It's a very big deal. We're talking 1,000, at this point, 4,000. If our classes are about 1,000 each, so 4 classes, freshman year, sophomore, senior. And so we'll march 4,000 cadets on the field, and the midshipmen, the Navy folks, they'll march their 4,000 on, and we'll have a big parade. And then we have about 8 cadets and 8 midshipmen who actually go to the other school for a semester. And then we'll do a thing called a prisoner exchange. That's a big deal. To get our cadets back and give away the midshipmen. But that experience is really amazing. I mean, it's a very, very, they don't really show it many times unless you watch early in the Army-Navy game to see what really happens, the big stuff. And march-ons, many planes are flying overhead, and we'll have the Army Black Knights, parachute team, parachute a whole bunch of, if the winds aren't bad, parachute a whole bunch of people onto the field. It's an amazing experience just to watch the Army-Navy game. And while we talk about the Army-Navy game and how much we hate, dislike the Navy, like Ohio State and Michigan, Troy, we know that at the end of the game, especially for those graduates, that we're all going to join the same team. And so while we freaking don't like each other whatsoever during the game, we only want ill for them, we know that at the end of the game, we're all going to be on the same team. And so it's a really weird experience, because as soon as the game is over, we're all brothers and sisters in arms. And that's probably the coolest thing about the game, especially for the seniors who have fought for 4 years, winning and losing, who have fought for 4 years together, to know that at the end of that game, you're all together as well. So yeah, good question. See, I like that. Government teacher and football. All right. I played football for a year. I was on the track, so I was a two-time All-American for track. My football was great. I was the fastest kid on the team. Hands of stone. Hands of stone. And so, yeah, don't throw the ball. I'm always the guy to fake, like they're going to fake shoot down the side. I was never the guy to pass the ball to. So, coach, I was the best fake wide receiver. All right, I'm sorry. Other questions? Sir.
So my question for you would be, what was your favorite deployment and why?
Probably my favorite. My favorite deployment was probably where I was able to run a refugee camp. So when Afghanistan fell in 20 and 21, we brought 75,000 Afghan refugees to the United States. And we had to set them up in places in order for them to properly integrate and have political asylum, so they weren't killed by the Taliban. And I was asked, along with 7 other general officers, to run refugee camps inside the United States to help them with their political asylum paperwork. And it was all about getting them medically prepared for the United States, teaching them English the best we could, setting them up with proper care, medically, helping them find jobs and things like that. For the work they had done, because they had taken care of us in the military. These were like Afghan military, Afghan university professors, Afghan governmental officials that were pro-U.S. that then couldn't be in Afghanistan when Afghanistan fell to the Taliban. And so, but being able to do that experience was, I'd say, is not the most fun, but probably the most rewarding time that I had in the military very recently. Toughest time was spending a year in combat operations in Afghanistan. And while I didn't lose anyone in that particular tour, and I was an IT unit. We had 8 Purple Heart recipients, so 8 people that had been wounded in action. 4 women and 4 men. So equal mix of men and women had been injured in various ways from indirect fire. One was shot down in a helicopter. Our barracks was bombed, things like that. That was obviously the toughest tour, because as the leader of the organization, I know that it is my absolute charge to keep our units safe. And in times of war, that is really, really tough to do. All we can do is rely on our training in order to do the right things for all the right reasons. And just dealing with the fog and chaos of war. And so that's a little different than fun. That was absolutely the most challenging thing every single day. Every single night. So, good question. Hold on, Queen.
What's the scariest thing you've ever
There you go. Yeah, I'd say a year of combat. A year of combat. Our particular base was fired upon indirect fire about 104 times in 365 days. And so indirect fire is something that comes like a high lob comes in. It's something you can't control for. And it is very random. And just that randomness of make sure you do the right things matter. And usually if we hear rounds coming in, alarms go off, and then we hit the ground and go to a bunker. During that period of time, it just happens so many times that we had to do it. tough sledding for a while. I didn't like not being with. I didn't like not being with my wife. My wife's name is Christina, by the way. And so yes, we started dating in I'll say in junior high, and we never stopped. And she's obviously a saint, obviously, and she never. And first off, she was 5'4" in junior high, and I was 5'3". So I looked up to her in junior high. Oh, by the way, anyone know Miss Watson? Okay, she and I grew up together. I was like, hey, right there in the hallway. So, yeah, so I knew her before I knew my wife. How's that? But I saw her in the hallway. I'm like, hey, cool. Christina, I was able to, there's a random thought. Christina and I, yeah, obviously I did 4 years at West Point and she did 4 years at Wilmington. That was hard. I think she wrote it down, it was 103 days that we saw each other in 4 years. So that was a good testament, or test, to how well we were going to stay together for a long-term relationship. And we survived that. And I'm not allowed, West Pointers can't get married. So it's the monk lifestyle. And so 2 weeks after graduating from West Point, came back here to pick what I got married. And then immediately was sent off to my basic training. And so yes, we've been over I'll say if you want to count junior high, our 39 years together, there were about 7 that we were separated because of war or training, whatever the case is. And certainly that was tough. So obviously, it wasn't fun, but therefore I absolutely focus on the times that we are together. I focus on the times that we are together in order to do that. And I will tell you that she is way more excited than I am about me retiring in about 3 months because we'll see how long she likes it. We'll all be home all the time. Currently, she's excited about how much I'm home. We'll see how much that lasts. So she may tell me I have to get a job again afterwards. We'll see how that goes. But no, I wouldn't have made it through without really her devotion, her love, and then obviously my dedication to her, and she understood the dedication I had to have to our country and the tough things that we had to do. Okay. I'm sorry, anybody over here? It's hard to see. Can't see. All right, other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What's your best memory from the Army?
Best memory. Probably best memory. Let's see, don't want to get in the fields here. Best memory was coming back from deployment and just being reunited with my family. Being my daughter running across the tarmac as I came off the plane to my wife. So not to be too weak in the knees, but yeah, that. Because it was a hard deployment. It was a hard deployment. Obviously, I missed her, and it was tough. But being able to see them, I knew I wouldn't go back for a while, was probably the best. I didn't know what's going to go there. Good question. All right. Baseball, football. Okay. All right. Other questions? So give me weak in these. Are we good?
Before you close out,
Sir.
you had said something, you said a quote that I think I want to get tattooed across my forehead, very feeling. You said something about discipline yourself before someone disciplines you. Was that the exact thing?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's my best memory.
Yeah. And so, my father provided me excellent discipline. As being, again, a high school teacher in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. And I realized that maybe I was tired of being disciplined. And I realized I needed to be disciplined. Very similar to how I took control back to having grief or anxiety or self-doubt. I would, as opposed to being caught like I'm a victim in the ambush of life, I realized that it's on me. Like I have to fight through the ambush. You know what I'm saying? I have to apply discipline to my steps. Otherwise, I'm just kind of getting pushed around by the world, pushed around by others, even people on my side, but certainly people I think are not on my side. And so at that point, it's like applied leadership. Applied leadership. And then look at the people to the right and to the left and be like, we're going that way. Because maybe there's people that do have self-doubt also, like me, but at a certain point, I guess I chose to lead. I chose to lead. And then just let's do this V, we're going to do a V formation, and we're just going to go through. And that's probably how I went from being an improbable free agent draft pick at West Point to being an Army general, right? Is a very, very improbable career, very unlikely success story out of a kid who grew up on a farm 5 miles from here, from Pickle, to being, an Army general today. So it's been a great career, and I appreciate that. And I'm envious. I'm envious of all you sitting in the crowd today. I'm envious because your whole life is in front of you. As my first career in the military, because I joined at 18, as my first career ends, I'm certainly looking for great folks like you to pick that mantle up and run with that baton. I'm going to pick up track reference, since I'm a track guy, to run with that baton, to pick up that mantle, with whatever that is. Career in the military, great options. Career in government, career teaching, whatever that is. Whoever that person is that you emulate right now, or that you like right now as a vision for what you want to be, that you have your entire life in front of you to be able to work that out. Okay? And what I thought I was going to do at 17 or 18 wasn't what actually happened. But I was just given opportunities to do stuff. And I took advantage of opportunities, whatever they were, and I jumped in wholeheartedly. I didn't have to in, I jumped in the deep end of the pool each time. Take those chances. Okay, I take a lot to be read up. Okay. Is that it? If so, thank you all. So thank you all for not having me in class for an entire period. Good job. And for listening to just a kid from Piqua who chose the military at 18 and is now retiring after 31 years. It's been a great ride. And I hope you all have a great rest of your school year. And I wish you the best of luck as you decide what you're going to do next. To know your whole life is in front of you. With that, back over to Paul.
Before we cut everyone loose, we just want to recognize someone who was integral in helping us put this together. Mr. Joe Taylor, you come right on up. Thank you all for listening. You asked some great questions. You got my brain going, so we have General Kraft in the car, so I have a few questions after this. So appreciate you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. You'll continue to see myself and my team throughout the school year. A few weeks left, and we're located right at the Pickle Mall, right next to Wings and Rings. So, got questions? Reach out. You know where to find us. Thank you.
Coach Rule, students, amazing. I appreciate you guys so much. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you, thank you. Thank you guys. Sorry, but it's that time. Go back to class.